Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about Medicaid patient eligibility. This can be tricky depending on where you're located and the different rules or the different regulations that are behind patients being eligible or ineligible for their Medicaid programs in your state. Usually patients will sign up for Medicaid a lot of times when they're facing hard times, such as losing their jobs, or someone who insured them prior loses their job, or their funds get low and they can't afford regular health care. People can go on and off Medicaid month to month. That means that 1 month a patient could qualify for Medicaid and the next month they do not. Or maybe they do have Medicaid, but it's not their primary insurance anymore, it's their secondary insurance because they do have a primary insurance that's possibly Medicare or commercial, and then Medicaid's their secondary. It's really important that every month you are checking your Medicaid patient's eligibility because you could end up in a spot where they're not eligible. You see the patient thinking they are, and then they end up getting denied services, or the claim gets denied at the insurance company and it makes them responsible for it. Oftentimes it's because they have other qualifying insurance, and Medicaid is always billed as a last resort. It's never going to be a primary insurance if someone has another insurance to bill first. That means if someone goes on to Medicare, Medicare is primary. If they have a commercial insurance, commercial is primary. If they have a TRICARE or a military insurance, that's primary. And then whatever is left over that's not covered by that primary insurance gets sent to Medicaid. Medicaid will not reimburse if the primary insurance covers more than what they would pay for the service. So you have to make sure that you're really paying attention to those claims for those patients. And if the patient really does have Medicaid, but it comes back denied, that's when you need to contact that patient and find out if they have other insurance that went into effect since the last time you saw them. We all know how hard it is to contact a patient after you have seen them. So my suggestion is to make sure that you're checking that eligibility or having your front desk have a solid workflow for checking eligibility, especially for Medicaid patients before they are seen. This is even more important when it's just been a transition from an end of a month to the first of the month, because that's when a lot of people kind of get caught off guard in this way, and they don't even think about checking it because the patient maybe has come in for 6 months, no problem, and then all of a sudden that 7th month they're ineligible and nobody checked it, and they don't know until after the claim processes and it comes back denied. Patient eligibility in some states could go day to day. Like in Washington, I have had experiences where a patient was eligible one day for Medicaid and the next day they weren't. This is a rare circumstance and it was a weird situation, but just be aware that there are reasons why checking eligibility and benefits before a patient is seen, no matter if they were seen a week ago or a day ago, is really, really important. Make sure you have solid workflows in place and that you explain to your front office staff how Medicaid plays in the picture of how they are eligible for their benefits and how they could change from month to month or possibly week to week or day to day depending on your state. Make sure you understand your state's policies in that regard so that you can be aware and check for certain specific situations. Also educate your front desk on how Medicaid is always the last resort payer. If your front office staff is given 2 insurance cards from a patient and one is Medicaid, they need to know that Medicaid is always going to be secondary so that they register the patient appropriately and claims go out correctly the first time. Also, when you're checking eligibility before a patient comes in, ideally, unless you're in like an emergency room or an urgent care where that's not really feasible, it's really important you're checking ahead of time. So if there is an issue in eligibility, you can contact the patient before they come in so that they are prepared to give you whatever other information you need, or they can give it to you over the phone before they come in so you can double check and make sure it's all okay before services are rendered. Remember, even though you are in the service industry and you're caring for people, it's still a business, and you still have to handle certain things as a business. And if you want to keep your doors open and be able to pay your staff and be successful, you do have to get payment even from Medicaid. Even though it's the lowest reimbursement, it still adds up and it's important. So you want to make sure you're doing your best job up front, making sure that all those insurances are checked before patients are coming in to make sure they're eligible with their plans, no matter if it's Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, military insurance type stuff, or commercial, because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep operating and taking care of people, is if you can keep the doors open and the lights on and the staff happy by getting money in to do so. If you have any questions or comments, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.